Praise be to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, the Buhana, to the elder and apostle from Great Mission, peace, blessing, and salutation to the Akiamu pushing this truth to the four winds of the heaven. It is your brother Yeshaya coming again with these lessons, man. Today I want to touch on history, man. History. And in front of me there is what do we call the tables of nation. The tables of nation. You got 1 up to 18. See? 1 up to 18. And the number 12 you got South African, which is Canaan. Canaan. Or in English, Canaan. The Canaanite, man. Yes, indeed, the South African are Canaanite. And this table of nation is correct. You see? You see? This table of nation is correct. And you got many people who have a problem with this tables of nation. And especially when you come to South African being Canaan. When we say South African, we are not, it is not only South Africa as a country. You see? It is not only South African as a country. You see? When you go to different organizations like SADC, ECOWAS, and things like that, SADC is an organization which exists to countries in South Africa. I have cut it in the middle, man. Including Tanzania, man. In SADC, even Tanzania, Uganda, and a country like Zimbabwe, and Namibia, and whatever, man, and Mozambique, they are in SADC, man. A South African organization. When we say the Canaanite, the South African Canaanite, we are not only speaking about South Africa as a country. We are speaking of countries below the equator. And my line is that red line, that's where the equator is. So below the equator, those are South African countries. All of those South Africans, those countries below South African countries, those countries below the red line, all of them countries are considered to be South African countries, south the African map, below the equator, if you can understand. So people have a problem about this South African country, including Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda, being Canaanite. I am here to tell you this is true. And the argument is they are Bantus. They speak the same language with people on the west coast of Africa. Yes, of course, we speak the same Bantu language, man. You see, the Bantu language, you got many Bantu language which originated from what we call the Niger Congo. You see, let me pull a map showing the Bantu here. You see, that's the map showing the Bantu migration, where they started, man. But you need to understand there is something here. There is something missing. That's why we do this lessons. This map is true. The Bantu expansion started from the Negro land. The Negro land, if you can understand. What is the Negro land? See? And the Negro land comprises Let me, if I can draw it for you here. Let me see if I can draw it for you. Let me see if I can draw it for you. The Negro land. People always think this is the Negro land. Only this. No. This, all of this, including the sub-Saharan desert, this is the Negro land. So the Bantu expansion started from the Negro land, which is this whole chunk of land here, down to the south. And you got two Bantu expansion. You see? Two Bantu expansion. You go the early Bantu expansion and the late Bantu expansion. Which is the late Bantu expansion involved the Israelites, who migrated from the same place, which is the Negro land, following the west coast of Africa, down. The early Bantu expansion involved the Canaanite, or the Phoenician. You can call them the Phoenician. And another thing, these people, what do you call these people which live in these South African countries, who are also Bantu? They bring the argument that we are the same people, which is the West African people, we speak the same categories of language. Yes, we speak the same categories of language, which the Bantu language is a diluted Semitic language, or we can say Shemitic language, because Phoenician is a Shemitic language, you see. And when the Israelites, after the siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD, came to West Africa, in this place here, this place here, let me again draw it for you. Let me draw it for you. Let me draw it for you. There is a place known as Tunisia. If I can see this place here, they used to dwell the Canaanite, the Canaanite used to dwell from that place. This North Africa. The Canaanite used to dwell here in North Africa. After Alexander the Great conquered North Africa, this Phoenician this Phoenician or Canaanite moved from there to here. They moved down here. They moved to the same area. You see? That's when you get the so-called Bantu expansion. And this Phoenician started to migrate down south early before the coming of Alexander the Great. But the biggest migration was when Alexander the Great forced this Canaanite to migrate south. So when the Israelites came after the siege of Jerusalem, which is a southern kingdom, they came from Israel here to West Africa. Here on West Africa, you got empires which is the remaining Canaanite, like the Dahomey Empire. Those were Canaanite. Those are not Israel. That's why there were a constant war between the Israelites and the Dahomey. And the Dahomey used to sacrifice the Israelites. If you can understand what I'm saying. So, how can I prove my point, man? How can I prove my point? Let me see if let me see if I can pull something. This is, I screenshot this. For a nation from Tyre, Lebanon, founded Carthage, an ancient city-state in the area that is modern Tunisia. Carthage became a major economic and political power in the Mediterranean, fighting over territory in Thrace. So, the Phoenician expanded their influence up to Greece, man, to those Mediterranean islands, those different islands, man, up to where? North Africa, man. Mediterranean fighting over territory in Cilicia, which is a Greek and Roman. Eventually, Carthage fell to the Roman, but took 3 wars. The Roman destroyed Carthage at the end of the Third Punic War, but then rebuilt it in a new Carthage, man. So let's go Carthage and Phoenician, as I show you alphabet there. Let me go. This is Wikipedia. Ancient Carthage, a state that included during the 7th century BC its wider sphere of influence known as the Carthaginian Empire. The empire extended over much coast of northwest Africa, as well as encompassing substantial part of coast Liberia and the island of West Mediterranean, man. Island of West Mediterranean, man. You see? Those capital Carthage, you see this area, all of this area, man. From 814 BC to 146 BC. But that was the peak of the Phoenician Empire in North Africa, man. But the Phoenician were in West Africa earlier than you can think, man. During the time of Solomon, man, these Phoenician were in North Africa, man. This Phoenician even traded. Later on, this Phoenician started to trade with their fellow Phoenician from places like Zimbabwe, Tanzania, and everywhere, man. And there's the Israelites, because the Israelites, they live with the Canaanite, man. Phoenician founded Carthage in 814 BC. Initially a dependence of Phoenician state of Tyre, Carthage gained independence around 650 BC and established its political hegemony over other Phoenician states towards the West Mediterranean, lasting until the end of 3rd century BC. At the height of the city prominence, it served as a major hub of trading. Trading what? With trading session extending through the region. For much of history, Carthage was in hostile terms with the Greek in Cilicia, and which is the Roman Republic. Tension led to a series of armed conflict known as the Cilician War, man, and the Punic War, respectively. The city was also hard to deal with potential hostile Berbers, the indigenous inhabitants of the area of the Carthage. See, that's what happened, man. So this Phoenician fought wars, different wars with Alexander the Great, and they eventually was destroyed by the Roman Empire, man. You see, and those Arab in North Africa, they are not the inhabitant of that place, man. Those Arab migrated from Yemen, man. You see, This is the history of Arab. After Alexander the Great and Nabatean kingdom emerged in a rural region extending from north of Arabia to the south of Syria. The former originated from the Arabian Peninsula, who came under the influence of the earlier Aramaic culture. The neighboring Hebrew culture was the Hasmonean kingdom, as well as the Hellenistic culture in the region, especially the Christianization of Nabatean in Syria in the 4th century. Pre-modern Arabic language was created by the Nabatean, who developed the Nabatean Arabic, which became basis of the modern Arabic script. That's not of our concern. The Arab Ghassanids were the last major non-Islamic Semitic migration to northward of Yemen in late classic era. So this Arab, let me see. What was I looking? This is not what I was looking, Salake. But my point was, after the Roman Empire, there was a series of forms between the Roman, the Grecian, the later the Roman, which is the Phoenician. They migrated downward south, man. Downward south, according to my map there, man. They migrated downward south, man. And the Arab migrated from Middle East to North Africa, man. That's why you got Arab living in North Africa claiming to be African, man. So, where do you think this Phoenician went, man? Or this Canaanite? They didn't go to Europe. You don't have Canaanite in Europe. You don't have Canaanite in the Middle East. So they went south of Africa. That is the possible migration, and we got evidence for that. So this country south of the equator, or you got Israelite in this country south of the equator, they even formed what do you call? They formed groups, man, to come against the gospel, man, the tables of nation, man, because they were offended to be called Canaanite. The argument is that we are all Bantu, we speak the same language. How do you say we are Canaanite? Then the Bantu of the west coast of Africa are Israelites. The Bantu of the south, the country in the south of Africa, are Canaanite. And mind you, even in the west coast of Africa, you got Canaanite, man, living with the Israelite. In Nigeria, you got Canaanite living with Israelite. In Ghana, you got Canaanite living with Israelite, man. So the south of Saharan country, they live two kind of people, Hamite and the Israelite. But my concern today is this Canaanite, man. I will do another lesson to show where are the Egyptian, man. The Egyptian are in the same place where the Canaanite are, man. Yeah. But the Canaanite, they're a little different with the Egyptian. There is a difference there. The Canaanite, you got Canaanite, you can have a Canaanite looking like an Israelite, man. You got some, but if you are carefully, you'll be able to differentiate them, because physically, the Israelites look more Negro than the Canaanite, man. But due to intermixing for a long period of time, you got Israelite who look Canaanite. You got like that, man. But the Israelite in the west coast of Africa, they are different from the Israelite from the peoples. Let me say like this: peoples who live in the west coast of Africa, central and east, are different. People who live in the west coast of Africa, they have big bodies, they look more Negro, man, than the peoples who live in this country here, down the equator. You got some tribals people who are shorter, man. Especially here in Tanzania, people who are shorter, man. When I didn't know about this, I was damn. These are Israelites, man. They can't be, man. We are not told to judge according to look, man. But the whole tribe, man, they are short as hell, man. Short, man, they look African, man, if you can understand. So, their point is, another point is that they validate the 10 lost tribe that they are Bantus, man. Because you got early migration, Bantu who migrated early, which I have told you they are Canaanite, man. They are not the northern tribe. The northern tribe went to the America. You see, the northern tribes went to the America. And as I say that the Bantu alphabet, you see the Bantu alphabet, they resemble Hebrew, man. Yes, they resemble Hebrew because Bantu, did you know also Bantu resemble Phoenician? Because majority of the Bantu language, they resemble Semitic language, man. Because here you got Canaanite. The Canaanite spoke the Phoenician language. The Phoenician language resembled the Hebrew language, man. If you can understand. Let's go. These are Phoenician alphabet. And this is Bantu alphabet. The same thing, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Let's continue. Let's continue. Let me look what I was looking about. This here, writing system of Africa. You see? Phoenician text, I download this here Phoenician. Aren't the same? Same thing. You see? The same thing, man. So you got words like Abba, Ban, Malak. Those words resemble the Hebrew language, man. Phoenician also resemble Hebrew. That's why when you go to the America, you got this historical artifact which have a Phoenician language there, man. Because the Native America are Israelites, man. The Hebrew language resemble Phoenician, man. And this Phoenician, they sailed the whole world, man. They circumnavigated Africa during the time of Hiram Abif, man. Did you know that? So they knew about Africa, man. When the Persian Empire was established, this Phoenician started to migrate to North Africa, man. The Greek and the Roman, man. And the Roman was the last lap, man. This Phoenician migrated deep down to Africa. This Phoenician, your Canaanite, man. So you have two types, you see, of Bantu migration, man. Let me go and look. You see, this is Proto-Semitic, West Semitic, East Semitic. To West Semitic, you got Central Semitic and South Semitic. Central Semitic, you got Northwest Semitic. Where you got the Canaanite language, you got the Phoenician language and the Moabite, man. That's why the Moabite alphabet resembles the Phoenician, man. See? You got people like the Pidgin in Congo, man. All of these are Canaanite, man. They are 150 centimeters tall. This is they are called Negrito. They are Negro category, according to Esau. So, Bantu migration started from 1000 BC up to 500 AD. So, people say that or this is especially this black only Israelite. First of all, they say the table of nations is not correct. Why do they do that? They do that in order to validate that the northern kingdom came in Africa. You need to find historical evidence, and the main historical evidence in which they come is the Bantu expansion. The early Bantu expansion, they say that those were the northern kingdom, which came here in Africa after them leaving Assyria, to go to a place known as Israelite. What they don't know is that Africa was inhabited before the northern kingdom coming here by the Phoenician. Amen. And you go to the Put, those the Libyan men. The Libyan established their cities on North Africa, man. The kingdom of Put was not only in Libya; it extended to the Saharan desert, up to what do we call the west of Africa, Tunisia and Liberia. If you can look maps on that. And the Phoenician came in Africa. They dwelled primarily in Tunisia. Then they extended to the Negro land. So when the Israelites came, they came to dwell with the Canaanite, man, amongst the Canaanite. As it was before, when we came out of Egypt, we went to dwell in the land of Canaanite. There were Canaanites there, man, left remnant of Canaanite, man. When King David started to smite this Canaanite, where do you think they migrated, man? Other Canaanite ran to North Africa. And another point is the Philistine. They were smitten by Joab. They ran to a place known as Morocco, man. The Philistine stayed at Morocco, man. So these people who were dwelling in the land of Canaan started to come to Africa during the time of King David, man. Starting with the Philistine, then the Canaanite, man. When the Persian Empire was established, they ran more to North Africa. After that, you see, after that, you have this empire known as, what do you call? After that, they gained control on North Africa, man, and they established the empire known as the Carthage Empire. But this Carthage Empire was destroyed by the Roman, man. And the Phoenician, which as a Canaanite, migrated here to here, what you call the Negro land, man. And after the Arab came, after the Arab also started to migrate here. You see, during the reign of the Roman Empire, some Arab started, Greek and Roman Empire, Greco-Roman Empire, some Arab started to come to North Africa, man. And this Canaanite migrated down south, man. You see? And when the Israelites came to West Africa, man, they found when they came to West Africa, there was empires, man. That's why there was a constant war between the kingdom of Judah, man, and the Dahomey Empire, man. We were not the same people. You see? So let's go back here. I was, what do you call this? The Bantu expansion. So the early Bantu migration, those were Canaanite, man. And I told you the Canaanite spoke Phoenician, which Phoenician resembled the Hebrew language, man. That's why you go to this Bantu language, you go to some words in Bantu language which resembles the Hebrew language, man. So there is, you see, your point of finding words from the Bantu language and comparing to Hebrew language have been debunked, because the Phoenician language resembles Hebrew also. And another thing, this DNA thing, man. The EB1 and what we call, which validates that all the Bantu are Hebrew Israelite. That can't be true, man. You see? Esau is playing some games, man. If all the Bantu are Hebrew Israelite, then where is the Canaanite? Because the people who are called the Nilotic are not Canaanite. The Nilotic were Egyptian. All of the Nilotic were Egyptian, man. So where is the Canaanite? And the Nilotic, man, they don't speak Semitic language, man. The only people in Africa who speak Semitic language are the Bantu, man. And the Phoenician spoke Semitic language. So the early Bantu migration started at 1000 BC. So you got some people, I told you earlier, these people who say that the Northern Kingdom migrated to Africa. You need to find historical evidence. And what they come, or what they bring the table, is the Bantu migration, which started at 1000 BC, which is not true. Which is not true. You see? Let's go and see. Let's bank this nonsense here. Let's go and see. The Northern Kingdom. Let me screenshot this. There is something I need here. You see? So people say that, see, all of the early Bantu migration, that is a proof that the Northern Kingdom was already here in Africa, in which the early Bantu migration started at 1000 BC. But here, during this time, the 1000 BC, you see, the Northern Kingdom, the Assyrian was not already conquered the Northern Kingdom. The Northern Kingdom was conquered as 722 BCE, man, or BC, if you can understand. You see? So you can't link the Northern Kingdom with the Bantu expansion, because the Bantu expansion started earlier, even before the conquering of the Northern Kingdom. So who are this Bantu? Who was this Bantu, the early Bantu expansion in Africa? These were the Phoenician. You see, this were the Phoenician, man. If you can understand or if you can get, man. See, but you got another, what do you call it? The Bantu expansion continued up to 300 AD, in which the southern kingdom was already in Africa. So we got two kinds of Bantu expansion. The early Bantu expansion, which involves the Phoenician, and the late Bantu expansion, which involves the Israelites. Man. See, the Israelites of the west coast of Africa. You see? So that was it, man. So, even from the 13th and 17th century, you got Bantu still coming from West Africa to down to south. These were the true, what you say, many of these were among of them they are Canaanite, among them they are Hebrew. So in Africa, in Africa here, you got two people. You got here in South Africa. Let me pull that map. Here down, or south is the equator. You got two people. You got the Canaanite. You got a small remnant of the Israelite. And I have told you, this Phoenician spoke a language which resembles to Hebrew. See? So, the northern kingdom didn't come to Africa, man. If your point was there was a Bantu expansion which started at 1000 BC, so that to prove that those were the northern kingdom, that's a big fat lie. Because 1000 BC, the northern kingdom was still a kingdom. The Assyrian conquered the northern kingdom in 720 something BC, 22 BC. So who were these people who started the migration here in Africa in 1000 BC, man? These were Phoenicians, man. So the table of nation that South African and Canaanite, in which sense? Those people who live on the south side of the equator. You got Canaanite in Tanzania, you got Canaanite in Congo, you got Israelite also in Congo. See? You got Canaanite in Zimbabwe, you got Canaanite in Zambia, you got Canaanite in Botswana, and everywhere, man. And you got Israelite in those countries also. So these people, all of these people who speak this Bantu, which resembles a Semitic language, were collectively called Bantu, man, by outsider, which means soul, man. And I have told you Bantu resembles Semitic language. So those Israelites which came here speaking Hebrew, that Hebrew language was diluted with the Phoenician and the other language here in Africa, man. So they produced a mixture of language known as the Bantu language, man. And as a matter of fact, the Israelites used to live with the Canaanite, man. But there was a constant war between the Israelites and the Canaanite. One example is the war between the Zulu and the Nguni people, man. The Zulu are not Canaanite, but they are Egyptian, if you can understand. Those are Nilotic people. They came following the Nile River. All of the tribe in Africa which came down following the Nile River, the migration took following the Nile River, many of them were Egyptian, man, if you can understand. So, this case is closed, man. So you got Phoenician who live here in Africa, man. That's why when you go to the highway and byway, you can understand. You people who stay on Facebook, you can't understand anything. Many people here, the Bantu people, they don't have a spirit of a jerk, even closet to a jerk, man. They don't care about the Bible, man. It is Esau is better than this Canaanite, man, because Esau care about the Bible because he rule now, man. And the Esau is closer to the Hebrew Israelite, man. He is our closet enemy. But this Canaanite, this Egyptian, they care less for the Bible, man. When you go to preach there in the streets, they look cool as they don't even. If you have ever seen my videos, they don't even see you, man. They don't even look at you. One day I was prophesying, I almost wanted to go home, man, because they even don't look at you. Before I came into a conclusion that you got many tribes, Bantu tribe here who are Canaanite. You see? And many people, south is the equator of Africa and the east of Africa, Sudan, Egypt, they were colonized by the European. But many of them, many tribes, if you can Google many tribes, they didn't went to slavery. They worked under the European within their country. You see, they worked under the European within the country. They worked in a sisal plantation and a coffee plantation within their country. So that was not bondage. It's like, what do we call it? Chattel slavery. What do they call it? Not servitude, they worked within their own country, man. A good example as a Chaga. The Chaga, the Germany didn't put the Chagas on a cargo slave ship, man. They made them to work on coffee plantation within their country, man. As what do we call here Manamba. They worked there as Manamba, man. And they were paid wage. You call something you call wage if you go in history. But the Bantus from West Africa, man, they went into cargo slave ship. And those people who sailed to the Indian Ocean, to the Far East, those slaves, they came from the Congo, man, which is West Africa. Look for your history, man. They came from the Congo, they came from West Africa, they were transported to Zanzibar, then to the Far East. And here on Zanzibar, here there is an island in Tanzania, Zanzibar in this Madagascar. You got many Israelites, man, who were shipped from the west coast of Africa to Zanzibar. That's why Zenji means Negro. And you got more people looking Negro in Zanzibar than in mainland Tanzania. I have always been speaking about this, man. And in Madagascar, many people looking Negro in Madagascar than in mainland Botswana, Zambia, and Msumbiji, man. Because those people were shipped from West Africa to those islands, ready to be transported. Others were deported there on that island. So many countries in south of the equator, they worked in their own country, man, in plantation, in mining, and whatever, man. But the peoples in West Africa, they were shipped, man. Others worked in their own country. For example, the slavery which happened in Congo, man, that was severe, man. You can't compare with the colonization of Tanzania, man. The Congo were killed, man. Their limbs were mutilated. Their genital part were mutilated like the slaves in America, man. They shared the same thing, man. But I didn't find any history for the, let's say, the Chaga or the Kikuyu being mutilated. Amen. The Kikuyu went to slavery, but not like the Congo. And this Canaanite, men of this Canaanite, this is a men among a small group of them were shipped, man, abroad, man, to go and work, man, pursuing to Canaanite being a servant to Shem, man. This Canaanite, other Canaanite were shipped to work to the Arab and whatever, but the majority of people which were shipped to work on this plantation were Hebrew Israelites, man. That's why you got people in America coming against the gospel. Just leave them alone. They can be Canaanite. Some of the Canaanite were shipped, man, and the Egyptians were shipped on ship, man. You see, but majority of the people who went on cargo slave ship came from the west coast of Africa. Point blank, period. I hope the lesson was edifying. Until next time, I am not a historian. That's a disclaimer.